Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada the Engineer. With me, Mr. Lady Ada on camera control, telling people the code and more. We got a fun-filled show, lots of stuff to go over, including new products, videos, tutorials, a lot of it's not out yet, coming soon. That's at the end, and of course, asking questions of me, the engineer. But the first question is, what is the code and what's on tonight's show?
Tonight's code is Tweezer, 10% off native restore all the way up to 11:59 p.m. We'll be talking about our live shows, including a clip from GP's product pick of the week, some main New York City factory footage, a couple of videos from Neil and Pedro. We've got Ion NPI this week, always brought to you by DigiKey. This week it's Aces connectors. We got some top secret. We got some new products. We answer your questions. We do that over on Discord, adafruit.it/discord, discord.gg/adafruit. And we will get to all the questions throughout the show and especially at the end during the question and answer section. We'll be talking about some freebies, a bunch of other stuff, and more. All that on, you guessed it,
Dun, dun, dun.
Ask an Engineer.
Kick it.
Okay, so code's Tweezer. Lady Ada, they get free stuff when they add
Yes.
stuff to their cart. What do they get?
When you buy from the Adafruit shop, you buy from our distributors also, but when you buy from Adafruit, you get free stuff like this beautiful PCB coaster, which you get for free when you order $99 or more, festooned with the Adafruit logo. 149 or more, we still have KB2040s, a Pro Micro Pinout microcontroller board with an RP2040 chip, semi-QT button, tons of flash, and USB-C. Free shipping for orders 199 or more and 299 or more, a free Circuit Playground Express all-in-one dev board that runs Arduino or code.org CS Discoveries, MicroPython, CircuitPython, Rustlang, etc. It's got LEDs and buttons and sensors and switches and battery pads, so you don't even need to solder anything if you want to get started with electronics or coding.
Okay, we have a bunch of live shows. We just got off the air on Show and Tell. Do check it out. We had a bunch of good stuff. Do check out some of the really cool projects. Seth stopped by with some updates. We had some really neat electron microscope stuff. And then Lenore and Wendell came by with the new Drawbot now that they're part of Phantom Tools. So do check it out. On Sundays, we do From Desk of Lady Ada. And of course, we also have The Great Search, where Lady Ada uses her powers of engineering to help you find all the things that are on DigiKey or not. And on Tuesdays, we have JP's product pick of the week. Here's this week's highlight.
The TCRT 1000 photoreflective sensor. This is a stemma sensor, meaning we've got the little 3-pin stemma connector there, so you can plug that into your project. If something gets between about 4 to 1 millimeter away, which is adjustable with a little trim potentiometer there, it will trip the switch. We've got the 3-pin JST cable running to, in this case, a Pi portal. When I get close enough to the sensor, you'll see it trips. As I spin my disc here, I'm able to detect the markings there, which is something you can use for robotics, to have precise wheel positioning, a pair of these to be able to tell direction as well. It operates quickly. It's faster, I think, than my screen there can update. TCRT 1000 photoreflective sensor.
And tomorrow's JP's workshop. And then on Friday is Deep Dive with Scott. If you saw the show and tell or you're about to, you can check out some of the BLE workflow things that Scott's doing and more. He'll be talking about that on Friday. Okay, we're going to do some Python on hardware time.
Yes. A couple of things going on in the browser. Well, we covered the M5 stuff last week.
Yeah, so of course, subscribe to the newsletter. Last week, we kind of broke the news. Espressive and M5 Stack are together. M5 Stack are now getting distributed by Espressive. That's really good. And then you want to talk about some of the differences between the compute modules?
Well, what's interesting is that if you, like, there's a new compute module 4, but if you like the compute module 3 style, like the little SIM card style, there's more versions of the 4S now available, which I thought was kind of nice that they're still supporting. There are a lot of industrial customers that are using these compute modules. And of course, they all have Blinka support. So if you want to run, our CircuitPython libraries that interface with that API on your Raspberry Pi boards, it's super easy because they have definitions in the Blinka library.
Okay. What other things do you want to talk about this week?
All right, scroll down. I gotta see what else is going on. Oh, the online IDE is in 2.0 beta. Go check it out and try it. We're not involved with this. It's a totally independent project, but I thought it was really cool. We're also going to be doing some work on code.circuitpython.org. We want to add some more support for uh, non-native USB boards like the ESP32 Classic and like the C3 and the C6 and some other boards that, again, they don't have mass storage.
Okay.
Keep going. Let's see what else was going on. Inky's always fun. And this was from last week's show and tell, the
Yeah. I was gonna play that in the
Natural Chasm
learn section, but we had a great show and tell, and if you want to see a really neat project that's
with the prop maker.
with the prop maker, it's extensively documented, and if you want to see how you would make this or something like it.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing we want to chat about is, there's gonna be there's a lot of updates now that we're done with the big bug fix push. Like after we do a release, like 9.0 release, we do release candidates and betas and alphas, but like people don't really try them. So we actually like released 9.0, which means like we're almost immediately came out with like 9.03, 9.04, whatever, because we were fixing so many bugs because everyone tries the new version of the code and we get like a lot of users. But we're kind of like wrapping up a lot of bug fixes and we're actually starting to cycle back into adding more functionality. So what you're going to see is going to, not out yet. Jepler's working on adding MP3 support for expressive chips. It's been a customer request for a long time. Scott came by, show and tell, also talked about adding Bluetooth low energy support for the ESP series as well. Because all those chips are dual. They have Wi-Fi and BLE, and like we haven't supported the BLA side, just the Wi-Fi side. So that's coming up soon. And like I said, adding more stuff to code.circuitpython.org, probably more chips supported as well. But you're gonna start seeing more features instead of just bug fixes. Although we're always fixing bugs, But I like to do like bug fix pushes and then get people working on features because it's kind of fun to do features.
All right, subscribe now. We deliver this every single week. Tens of thousands of people read all about Python on hardware every single week. Adafruitdaily.com, we use a completely separate site, so you never have to worry about your information being used to market to you. It's a free newsletter from Adafruit. You can also look at it on GitHub or subscribe to it on RSS or look at it as a blog post. It's all good. Also, we do a newsletter, Adafruit Internet of Things monthly, and it is out this month. So let's hop on over and check it out. Couple things. If you want to find out kind of the coolest, interesting IoT projects that it has nothing to do with our hardware or software, although we
like it.
Stuff. We're almost up to 6,000 subscribers. I think it's the only and best newsletter like it. Here is a Power Jeep upgrade your kid's electronic ride-on car. This is really neat. You can use ESP32, which is 6 or 7 components to purchase and allow you to control and monitor one of these little cars. You can use Home Assistant and IoT to see if a rice cooker is done cooking. So it'll let you know.
That's useful.
Desk Commander using HTTP. This is one of ours, Pico DVI, Adafruit IO dashboard feed, IoT battery monitors. This is a Elgato Wi-Fi light controller, so you don't have to use their software. We also get one over the Espressif M5 stack. And then the Open Home Foundation. This is from Home Assistant group and more. You can check out. It's all the different things, 240 projects all together, drivers, libraries.
Everything from the open Home Assistant.
Yeah. And if you're in the maps and more, this is the
cool because New York is doing a lot of sensing. I think they chatted with us about LoRa, like doing citywide LoRa.
Yeah.
So that they could collect all this data from all over the city. I mean, there's like millions and millions of people in homes, and they want to like track what is the air quality like all over the place, what is the water quality, heating and cooling during the summer and winter.
This goes out tomorrow. Go to Adafruit Daily, sign up for it, and this will be delivered to your inbox. And heard about IoT, or you want to see IoT projects, or if you want to make sure the projects that you're looking at aren't just like commercials for other things, do check out Adafruit IoT Monthly. Let's do some open source hardware news and more. That means our guides.
Okay.
3,000 altogether. Lady,
Over 3,000.
what's on the big board this week?
Okay. All right. So I have a couple guides updated. Melissa's again been doing a great job going through some old project guides and updating them to use our latest install script. Some of them have changed slightly. Also making sure that they work on Bookworm, which has just been a joy. A lot of stuff broke with Raspberry and Bookworm and with the Pi 5. JP's arcade stick conversion, he talked about this on the show and tell, and also we had that 1 minute clip. He did a solderless, plug in a Pico H with the headers pre-soldered into our terminal block underwing, and then you can just wire up all these connections to arcade joysticks, like an off-the-shelf arcade joystick, and replace the PS2 controller with USB. Liz did a guide for the DVI sock. Yeah, it's a spin on the Raspberry, the not unofficial Raspberry Pi DVI sock. Bit of a hack, but it does work quite well. I think she just has example code for Arduino and CircuitPython. Just changing the pin definitions. This super awesome Gravity Falls memory gun using the prop maker. We had Noe on show and tell, and one of the things that's cool is with the prop maker feather, with STEM IQT, with good cabling and better and better components, it's gotten much easier to make props than ever. Like it's definitely easier to make props since like there's Adafruit components, but we work tirelessly to make it as little soldering as possible, as little like fidgety work as possible, so that anyone can build props. So this is it's a fairly advanced custom prop, but has comparatively little soldering and assembly required compared to like what it used to be. Also this project, which is really neat, this is a USB host to BLE keyboard. So basically you can plug a keyboard into this feather. It's a feather TFT, and then we have our USB host feather wing, and then the Bluetooth energy on the ESP is or NRF, I don't remember which one it is, communicates with your phone, your tablet, your computer, so you can turn any USB keyboard into a wireless keyboard. And then a couple updates, and then some other breakout boards like the IR demodulator and the BNO055 BFF also got guides going.
Okay, do check those out. And of course, you can check out Playground. I mentioned that we have this cool new prop maker project that you can check out, but there is 300 plus guides already in Playground. You can add your own at any time. And one of the things that we did, because we get annoyed by other sites that make you log in to view all steps and everything, we don't do that. We don't have ads. We don't even do tracking. We decided to make this kind of like our own learn system. It's just a cool place where everything is good. And we do make sure that these are good guides, and we feature them. And some of the folks aren't showing.
Please write guides, because when you write guides, it makes us feel good. It makes us want to work more on Playground.
Yeah, in the past is how we've hired people. They've done like learn guides when we would grant some editor access or some author access. But now that this is open to everyone, if we hire someone to write guides in the future, this is how we will probably meet them.
Yeah.
So do check it out. And we have some new buttons and features.
Yeah, there's now new and featured. So we feature like finished projects, but people post like their notes and whatever they're working on.
Yeah, check out
the new
and more. Yeah,
just like a tutorial on using GPIO and and then sometimes people just like post like their hacks and mods and stuff.
Yep, and we're adding on more features all the time.
Okay.
Okie dokie, let's do some factory footage. and that's how it's made here in New York City. We're going to do some 3D printing videos. We got the project we talked about before and a speed up, and we'll see you on the other side.
You can build a prop replica of the memory gun from the hit TV show Gravity Falls. The memory gun is a device featured in Gravity Falls that was designed to target and erase bad memories. It's got a unique steampunk aesthetic that features some interesting elements like a light bulb, a rotary knob, and a built-in screen. We designed the prop to house an OLED screen, a rotary encoder, an LED noodle, and a trigger button. A list of audio files stored on the microcontroller are displayed on the OLED screen, and you can use the rotary encoder to cycle through them. Pressing the button triggers the highlighted sound effect and lights up the LED noodle that's fitted inside a plastic ornament. The Feather Prop Maker RP2040 is the perfect all-in-one dev board for making these type of projects. It's got the RP2040 chip with built-in I2S audio amplifier, LiPoly battery charging, Stemma QT, and screw block terminals for easy plug and play. The Feather is secured inside the prop's memory canister, which is the perfect compartment for housing the dev board and accessing the USB-C port. The CircuitPython code sets up the rotary encoder and OLED screen over I2C and the button as a keypad object. Audio files are stored in a folder, and you can easily add more without having to edit the code. Bitmap fonts are used to display the text labels on the OLED screen. 3 text elements are shown at a time, and the center element features a white background to highlight the selected sound effect. The code, CAD files, and sound effects are all free to download. For a full tutorial, check out the guide at learn.adafruit.com. We think this is a great resource for folks who want to integrate audio, displays, and rotary encoders in their prop projects. All of the parts can be 3D printed using PLA filament. We used a metallic gold and bronze colored filament, which turned out shiny right out of the printer, so we didn't have to sand or paint any of the parts. We hope this project inspires you to level up your projects with CircuitPython and Adafruit's Feather Prop Maker RP2040.
Alrighty, before you go off to Ion MPI, the code is Tweezer. For the folks putting questions in the chat, thank you. We're storing them up. We're going to get through Ion MPI, some new products, top secret, and some questions. So
Yes.
get into them. Keep
Questions in, but post them up.
post them
in the
up.
Discord.
Let's do Ion MPI.
On MPI.
Ion MPI brought to you by DigiKey. This week it is Aces Connectors. Data. What is the new product introduction of the week this week?
Okay, this product is Aces. I was saying that. It just feels like so British. This week's IMPI, if you go to the next thing, is let me get this part number correct. MSDV 2108 BK33T in the AKA version of this chip. Also, these are very cool. Maybe I'm the only one in the world who is just fascinated by this, but these are vertical
cool.
micro USB connectors. I've never seen these before. They are truly NPIs because like sometimes I'm like, oh, here's like a DC-DC converter and it's like a little better than other DC-DC converters. I have never seen a vertical micro USB connector. Let's go to the overhead because I'll show this off in person. Hold on. Sorry. Uh-oh.
You did it.
Oh, did okay, great. Okay, so these have through-hole pins, and then they also have these larger mechanical pads, and they have this like nice flat plastic body. And there's 2 versions. The Oh, I forgot to bring a micro SD card. There's a slightly bigger version, the silver one. This one has a push-push connector, so you can push the micro SD in and then pull it out. The smaller black one is push-pull. So after you've pushed the micro SD, you have to pull it back out. So this is bigger because it has a spring system in it to return the micro SD card. But they both have, the same footprint and through-hole pads, and then they sit upright, which is great. If you're making a project or product with, that has a design, you don't want a separate PCB because you want to mount the micro SD in a vertical fashion rather than a right angle fashion. These are your bag. Okay, so let's get into it. Micro SD cards. They're amazing. They're so inexpensive. You can get them, any size from like 64 megabytes up to like half a terabyte. Basically, you can buy them in grocery stores, or of course, in DigiKey has like hundreds of different varieties in stock, sizes, prices, capacities. But like 99% of the time, when people are using a micro SD card or micro SD card socket, you're going to use a SMT right angle socket like this. This is, I linked to it in the text for this Ion MPI, the DigiKey part number. It's got the pads and pins on the bottom. They're very secure. This is a push-pull type. Sorry, push-push type, because you can see the spring. And they're inexpensive and very easy to use, but you need to mount them in a way so that the PCB is right up against the edge of your enclosure so that the micro SD can pop out. And that isn't always possible depending on your mechanical design. So like I said, there's two versions. The silver one is push push. This one is push pull, much smaller and simpler. There's a 3D model available, so you can easily model this into your mechanical enclosure to make sure you have the slots in the right spot. And then I like that they went with all through-hole design, isn't like half SMT, half through-hole, because all those pads are going to give you a lot of mechanical stability when you solder into your PCB. You're gonna, you have to wave or hand or selective solder it in. But it is this tall lever, and it would be easy for it to get cracked off if there was any torque on it. So having both wide and long row of through-hole pins is going to keep it nice and stable. The silver one is a little bit bigger than the. Oh, sorry, that was the black one, and this is the silver one, I think. Anyways, the data sheets for both document all the pins. Every pin is available, so you can use with SDIO or, of course, with SPI format. And also there's a card detect pin available, so you can detect when, an SD card has been inserted or removed. And there's lots in stock. I actually picked some up because I'm going to make a breakout board for these two designs. But there's still over 4,000 available of both types. And the push type, the little bit bigger, more expensive one, is about $1.60 in quantity, and the push pull one is about $1, which is not that much more expensive than your standard surface mount right angle micro SD card. So, if this helps you by not making a separate PCB that then you have to kind of mount in a weird location, because everything can be on one place, and then you were mentioning it would be kind of fun. You could just slot the micro SD.
Yeah, I wanted to make a little retro game emulator with some of these new powerful chips, and you would pop in the cartridge, the micro SD, kind of sticking up from
Yeah.
like a Atari 20.
And that's like really hard to mechanically do if you want to have it come from the top or not from the side. But now it's really easy thanks to these connectors.
All right, that is Eye on MPI this week.
Eye on MPI.
Alrighty, we're going to jump right into news.
Okay, we got some more tweezers. People like the pointy ESD tweezers. Well, these are the kind of snub-nosed, flat-billed tweezers. You can see they're not as pointy. They have kind of a rounded tip, so they're going to be a little bit better for larger components because the components won't twist in the pointy tips of the other tweezers. They are ESD, and they're plastic, so not good for hot air or for if you're soldering, you don't want to have your soldering iron next to the tip. But for placement, they're nice and comfy and nice and soft. Or if you're doing work with you want to pull tape off of something, or you want to work with a softer material, these will not mar the way metal ones do.
Alrighty, next up.
Next up, we have a throughway RJ11/RJ12 connector. So this shows the version that is, with the extension cord, but it's the same idea. You just have to drill a hole. I think it's about like 1.5 inches in diameter. And what I like about these is that there's this nut that gets removed, and so you can have material up to like 1 inch thick. 1/2 inch is a good amount, but I think it's like 3/4 of an inch thick. And there's a big lip, and so it covers any like rough edges of the hole. So even if you're not laser cutting, if you use like a hole saw or like an auger bit, you'll hide any of the little rough edges because the lip goes over and gives you a nice bezel look. This is, sometimes called telephony connectors, but they're used for other stuff. 4 or 6 connectors is not RJ45 compatible, but I see people use telephony wire all the time. It's very inexpensive and very thin usually. So if you're just carrying up to 6 pins of power and data, you can definitely reuse telephone wire. Or of course, if you're building something that has telephony, RJ11 and RJ12 are used there a lot too.
All right, next up.
Next up, we have a breakout. This was actually a chip that was on NPI. This is the S35710. And now that the chip shortage is over, we can get back to this. So this is an interesting chip. It's a low power wake up timer, and you connect it to it over I2C. And actually made a typo. It's not 16-bit, it's 24-bit. I'm gonna have to fix it on the revision. It's a 24-bit timer. You write a 24-bit value to the internal register, and then the chip will count up slowly 1 second at a time until the internal timer matches the set amount timer, and then the alert pin, which is labeled out, will toggle. It will go from high to low or low to high, depending on whether you have invert or normal switch selected. See, there's at the top, there's a switch. So you can have either the out pin go low when the timer matches or go high when the timer matches. So it's basically like, it's kind of a little bit like a real-time clock, but it's meant for, a very long amount of time. And it's very, very low power. It's very simple. It doesn't do anything else. So it has a little bit less expense than some real-time clocks. Also doesn't have a battery backup, but it uses like 0.1 microamperes of current. This would be something where if you wanted like a watchdog timer, or an alert that would tell you wanted to go to sleep but you didn't know when you were going to wake up, sort of thing, and this could toggle an interrupt pin for you, or it would turn on and off some external circuitry. This would be good for that. I'll tell you what it isn't good for, which I learned from experimentation, is you can't use it. You can't connect the output pin to the microcontroller that is controlling its reset or enable line, because when you first power it on, it will be off by default. It will be like whatever is the depowered state. And so it's not good for like self low powering, which is a little bit of a bummer. I wish it was. But I still think it has some use cases for people who want ultra low timing. It can go from 1 second up to 194 days, because again, it has that 24-bit timer. So I think interesting and possibly useful for real-time counting, watchdog, wake up timing projects. And again, it's got that 0.2 microamperes of current draw. So it's very, very low power. And you can have it run in the background and then control some other circuitry to make your whole project much lower power over long periods of time.
Alrighty, and the start of the show tonight, besides you, Lady Ada, our team, our community, and everyone who makes open source go is...
Okay, we've got a new Cutie Pie, and this one is a real throwback. This uses an 8051 core. It's the CH552 from WCH. It's an 8051 core, but it's running pretty fast. It's 16 megahertz at 16 megahertz, 3.3 volts. Trying to remember the amount of flash. I think it's 16K of flash and like 1 or 2K of RAM. But what's interesting about this chip is, despite being an 8-bit 8051, it has full USB device support. So it can act as a USB serial device or a keyboard or a mouse. It's very, very low cost. And so if you're wanting to experiment with the CH552 line, this is a nice board that has everything you need to get started. There's a reset button and there's also a ROM bootloader. So when you hold the D+ line high during boot, it will then launch into a USB bootloader that you can use to load code on. I also put a NeoPixel on. There's a 3.3 volt regulator because I wanted to make sure you had plenty of current. And a STEMMA QT port. It's single-sided, so it's great for, if you want to solder this directly onto a PCB. There's 4 analog input pins, I2C and SPI and hardware UART. I think the SPI is, I believe, hardware. The I2C, I think, is software I2C, although it says in the datasheet that they are proper I2C. Anyways, but it definitely does have like 8-bit analog inputs, definitely has SPI, definitely has hardware UART. One thing to note is that there's not a lot of pins on this chip, and so the MOSI pin and the A2 pin are the same because it's a hardware MOSI pin and it's also a hardware analog pin, and you can't have both. You can't separate the two. They're all on one pin, so that pin is shared. But other than that, it's if you want to experiment or play with 8051 or this chip because you want to use like a 40-cent microcontroller in your project, this will make it really fast to get going. We recommend using the CH55X Arduino board support package, which, as you expect, allows you to program this board via the Arduino IDE. However, I have to warn people, it's not Arduino compatible because the compiler is C, not C++, which means that there's no Arduino libraries that are going to work because they all use C++. So instead, we have some example code where you can run the NeoPixel or run like a strand of NeoPixels or read from I2C, but you don't get to take advantage of like the wire library or serial dot. Like there's no dot or arrow because there's no objects in the C compiler. But again, if you're wanting to hack, experiment, explore, this isn't for beginners, it's a little bit more for advanced people. It's kind of fun. I thought it's a little bit weird, a little bit of a twist. If you want to get started with something beginnery, check out our Cutie Pie or our SAMD21, our RB2040 or SAMD21 or ESP32S3 Cutie Pie. Those are a great choice. This is, oops.
Oh, sorry.
This is for hackers who want to hack. But for those who want, it's there. And it's like under $5. Good deal.
Alrighty, that's new products.
Well,
Except
people want to see my products.
Alrighty, so if you want to get something, use tweezers. Don't forget code, tweezer, free stuff too. All right, we have some questions signed up, but we're going to do the top secret now. All right, for top secret, we're going to play 3 videos, and then we have one that Lady is going to talk about, then we're going to jump into questions.
Okay.
All right, Lady.
Okay, time to enable my big project. So this is a Picobell tripler, and I'm putting together this little demo to test all the capabilities. So this is a TFT display, and it uses SPI and I2C for the capacitive touch. And there's also an SD card that has an image, and then the IRQ and the touch over here. And then if you look over here, here's the tripler. So in the middle, I've got my Raspberry Pi Pico RP2040. This is that iSpy connector, which is connecting to the TFT display. So it's kind of nice. No soldering, and then a STEMMA QT port for sensors. I'm working on that HDC. And then over here, we got a little NeoPixel underneath. So we'll do RGB stuff. And a LiPo battery connected to a battery charging circuit with status LEDs. And finally, that enable switch, which I can disable and turn off everything to save power. And then, you charge it up the battery by plugging it in. So you can have 1 Pico, 2 Pico bells, and of course, all these built-in accessories, plus some prototyping area. This is going to be a really awesome tripler underplate, going to be in the store real soon.
All right, Lady, what's this?
Okay, this is, as you can see, a 64 by 32 RGB matrix running one of our Arduino demos. This is the double buffering scrolling text demo. You can see it's got some bouncing balls and some text. But what's cool is it's running on an ESP32C6. We can maybe focus on it. Okay, great. This is my prototype. So what's cool is Jepler recently updated Protomatter, the library that we use for interfacing with these Hub 75 compatible RGB matrices, to the board support package 3.xx release candidate 1, et cetera, and updated all the library to use the new timing and RMT API definitions. And so new boards like the C6 can now drive these matrices. Now, it's not going to run as fast as the S3, which has like, built in like a huge amount of PSRAM and some built in optimizations, but you can do like 4-bit depth. So it could be good for Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or ZigBee controlled RGB matrix projects. It looks pretty nice.
All right, Lady Ada, what is this?
Okay, I've got from Sensirion here. It's a beautiful Sen 55. This is part of the Sen 5X series. It's a kind of all-in-one ambient temperature, humidity, volatile organic compound, particulate matter sensor. It's great for air quality detection. And it's got this JST-GH connector. So what I did is I made a little adapter board to make it easy to plug into Stemma QT. So it has a little boost converter, a charge cap converter that'll give you 5 volts because it needs 5 volts for the motor. You saw that fan in the beginning. And then I have it plugged here into a ESP32 C6 feather, kind of testing both at the same time. And then over here on the OLED, plugged into the other side, is the output from the sensor. And then if I take, you can see it's actually like kind of nice here. If I take this soldering iron and you can see the particulate dust from the solder go in, the sensor reacts. So I know everything is working, and hopefully this will clear out in a second. But otherwise, the sensor is working really great, and it's nice plug and play. No soldering required, no wiring. Just connect it up to any of our feathers or cutie pies to get an all-in-one air quality sensor going. Thanks, Sensirion.
All right, Lady Ada, what's this?
Okay, this is a new cutie pie board that I designed, and we've got assembled PCBs for now. It's the CH552. This is an 8051 chip, this little board right here. And it's got like basically just enough GPIO to make a cutie pie. There's 2 shared pins because they have the same functionality, but you've got SPI and I2C and 4 analog inputs and UART and, power and ground. And it's single-sided. It's kind of nice. There's a bootloader button and a reset button and a power regulator. And to program it, I'm using a Raspberry Pi because there is an open source Python script that allows programming of the CH552. So if you see over here, it's loaded into this bed of nails pogo pin, and the USB is coming out of here. And then I'm using these 2 wires that go to GPIO on the Raspberry Pi to do the reset and bootloading select. And then the test program is written in CH55X Duino. I have to figure out the clamp. It's a little bit iffy. But after about 10 seconds, it's finished programming. And once done programming, it has a little nice NeoPixel, so you know it's working. So I just have to fix this clamp because you saw it was not touching one of the pogo pins quite nicely. But otherwise, it's ready to go. It'll be in the shop real soon.
And Lady Ada, what's this?
Okay, and doing more weird chips as cutie pies. This is a CHV203, which is a RISC-V core, but also a very low-cost chip again from WCH. And this is just like another cutie pie design for people who want to experiment with this chip. Also does not have Arduino support. But you can compile code for the RISC-V processor, and it has native USB, and it has some cool peripherals, and it's like pretty fast. So it'll be kind of neat to see that prototype show up.
That's top secret. Okay, well, if you like all this stuff, buy something. Use the code tweezer,
Okay.
not plural, because
gotta
it
speak.
fuels us. We're gonna do questions now. We have a bunch lined
All
up.
questions.
Yep. Alrighty, so first up, what is the unit used in the AS7341 sensor?
You can check the data sheet, but I think it's unitless. I think it's just counts.
Okay, can the TRRS Trinky generate composite video using the composite video library? If they plug in the composite video TRRS cable, it's the same CMD21 used in Circuit Playground Express.
You probably can, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, you just want to set the other pins to be ground, and then just to have the library run in Arduino and have the signal come out.
Okay, and if it does generate video, may I request JP to show it in the workshop? Yeah, just in.
You can request it, but it's probably not going to happen because we're probably going to demo accessibility projects.
Yeah, but
Assistive tech.
request it.
But you can always request it, or you can also do it yourself.
Okay. Why does Adafruit wire our batteries and sockets with the opposite polarity of other batteries that are out there?
Well, maybe those other batteries are opposite.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that?
As someone mentioned in the chat, so the companies like Adafruit and SparkFun and DF Robot and C and companies that have addresses and responsibility and insurance and things, we all kind of stick to one standard.
Yeah, we all use
but,
the same.
but on Amazon, you're going to see, especially, or like whatever low cost random place, you're going to see it's going to be opposite everywhere. So it really depends on where you get your batteries.
But guess what? You saved $4, so
Yeah.
it's okay that you just destroyed your project.
So that's the reason why usually. The soon to be released S35710 low power wake up timer. Just want to clarify, once the time is reached, does it do a short millisecond pulse, or is the on time for the same duration as the
It's fixed. It's like it turns on, and then if you want to have it turn off, you have to set the timer again. So like it's a permanent level change.
Okay, who does the show names, the intro videos, and music and sound? There's a few of us. I do some of it. Bruce does some of it. And, I wish I had more time to do more. But we have some updated graphics we're doing soon too. But sometimes I do the music. A lot of times I'll do some of the video intros, or Bruce will. And depending on what it is, it's a collaborative project. So a little bit of all of us. Next up, I think you already talked about this in a previous show, but what's your hot take on Zilog ending the production of the Z80?
They ended the production of one line, and we chatted about this 2 weeks ago on The Great Search. So go check out The Great Search if you want to see longer discussion. And the answer is, it doesn't actually affect most people. It's just kind of like a nostalgia thing.
Another about the S3570 low power wake up timer. Do the needed components add much to the 0.2 amp draw?
Well, yeah, if you want to have the lowest power, you should disable the LED by cutting the trace, and you might also want to change the pull-up resistors. But there's nothing else on the chip. There's no level shifting.
Okay, I would love to have a cutie pie. It's a feather wing adapter, SPI, I2C, UART for analog pins. Let's use a bunch of feather wings for things that don't have BFFs. It's not really a question, I guess, so never mind.
How about you design it?
All right. Question for Adafruit. Does stomach QT boards have individual pull-ups? Does chaining multiple I2C lead to any issues?
They do have pull-ups. They tend to have 10K pull-ups. And since the spec is good for as low as 2K, basically you can chain 5 before it even could possibly be an issue. But honestly, you can go as low as 1K on the pull-ups. And that's still only a couple milliamps. So you can chain 10 without issue.
Okay. Do you have any idea when the Espressive 3.0 software will be released?
I do not know. I am not in charge of that.
Okay. Someone in chat says their RC1 is available now. So maybe
Totally not my, yeah,
that helps.
I don't get to decide any of that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. There was a Linuxy question, and some folks suggested they post up in our SPC chat room, because this is kind of a long one. But they're trying to build a Raspberry Pi wearable time-lapse camera, and they're getting an issue with wiring Pi. I think wiring Pi might be where they need to check, because it says no installation candidate. So I think that's on the repo.
They probably just changed the installation. You'll probably just have to look up how to. I mean, stuff changes all the time.
Yeah, it says it's not available, and it's a different package.
It's probably a different. You just have to install it in a different way. Maybe they added underscores, or they added a version name. Who knows? Yeah,
I would check the repo on GitHub and see if the location changed, and then also check in our SBC chat. And then the other question: is there any way to take video rather than a picture every 2 seconds for the wearable time?
Possibly, but we don't have code for it. You'll have to write the code yourself on how to do that.
Okay, and then let me see if there's anything else that came in. That is it.
Okay.
All right, good speed round, lady. Yeah.
Everything.
Okay, just a reminder, don't forget code is Tweezer. All these weird, cool boards that you're seeing that we're coming out with.
They're weird.
Your hardware purchases supported, even if you're not buying these.
And they're all open source hardware. We published
all open source hardware. We are now 27% of all certified open source hardware designs. Yeah, we're
that's good that they're actually not
700 something.
We're not the majority, we're not the majority.
Yeah,
which is good. There's other.
Yeah, a lot of things are based on our designs, but it's that's a good place to be. It's a good seed amount. Like this is a amount that people can use our designs and remix them and do stuff. But this is what your purchases support, so please keep it up. That's our show. This has been an Adafruit production. We'll see everybody next week. Here's your moment of Zener.